Alhamdulillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. Man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lah wa man yudlil fala hadiya lah. Wa nashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah. Wa nashhadu anna sayyidina wa maulana Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa ala alihi wa baraka wa sallama tasliman kathiran kathira. Amma ba'd. فقد قال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وأما من خاف مقام ربه ونهى النفس عن الهوى فإن الجنة هي المأوى. Hatim Assam rahmatullah alayh replied to his sheikh that after 33 years of accompany with his sheikh Shaqiq Balkhi, I have learned 8 lessons. The first lesson we dealt with last week. As a little reminder, he said that everybody loves something. And I realize that all the things that we love, the husband, the wife, the house, the property, all of these things, they only go with us up to the grave. And when we die, it doesn't accompany us. So I decided to inculcate the love for good deeds, good amals, so that when I die, these good amals and these good deeds would accompany me in the grave and would be of benefit to me. The second thing that he said that he learned, the second lesson that he learned in this 33 years of being in company with his sheikh, the second lesson, what did he learn? He said that I saw that Allah Azza wa Jal said in the Quran, وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى. That Allah has, and what Allah says is true. I have developed that yaqeen within myself that what Allah said in the Quran is true, and this is what Allah is saying. As for that person who fears the standing before his Lord in order to give account on the day of judgment, and he prohibits and he prevents himself from passions and desires, then Jannah is going to be his abode. My dear brothers and sisters, let us understand this ayat of Quran a little more. In the ayat just preceding this one, in Surah Nazi'ah, فَأَمَّا مَنْ طَغَى وَآثَرَ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا فَإِنَّ الْجَحِيمَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى. The ayat before, Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying, and he is describing 2 characteristics of the people of Jahannam. 2 characteristics of the people of Jahannam in this ayah. Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying that the first characteristics of the people of Jahannam is what? فَأَمَّا مَنْ تَغَى. As for that person who rebels and he rejects the law of Allah, he is rebellious to the law of Allah. He doesn't want to practice. He doesn't want to conform to the law of Allah. He is rebellious. وَآثَرَ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا. And he gives preference to the world. He gives preference to the life of this world. 2 qualities, rebelliousness, and he gives preference to the life of this world. What do we mean by giving preference to the life of this world? We talk about the dunya and giving, what do we really mean by giving preference to the life of this world? My dear brothers and sisters, there are many actions that we could perform. There are actions that we could perform that would be of benefit in this world as well as in the hereafter. Beneficial both in this life as well as in the hereafter. But there are certain actions, many of which that we are involved in, that gives us pleasure in this world, but would cause us punishment in the hereafter. It gives us pleasure in this world. You say, boy, I really like to listen to a nice slow music, you know. Boy, it does bring a certain amount of calm and peace and tranquility when you hear listen to a good song. You understand? There is benefit in this world, there is, but in the akhirah, what is lined up? Right? And next man says that, well, fighting your brother down and that kind of thing, because he get a big property, he outsmart this one, he outsmart that one, he have a good lawyer, that kind of thing, he get a certain amount of pressure. Why? Because in this world, he end up with the bigger share. Or let me put it in Trinidad terms, he end up with the bigger half. Right? He outsmart, he a good lawyer, he could talk good and that kind of thing. He end up with the bigger portion. Right? In this world, what happened in the hereafter? What happened in the grave? He had to pay for it. Right? So what is he giving preference to? Is he concerned about the hereafter and what will be the ultimate result of his action? No. He's only concerned about this world because he deriving pressure. Yes, in the bank book or what? 7 digits, you know. Yes, in it or what? It's 7 digits. You know, 6 digits and 5 digits in a long time. A long time. Right? It's 7 digits. Right? So all he's concerned about is piling it up. Getting the pleasure by just looking at it. Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala tells us they just like to count. They just like to count it. They like to feel it. You understand? They watch it again. They already counted. They say, well, let me check it back. I feel I leave out 100. Let me check it back. The feel in the hand alone. That's why somebody Mashaykh never even like to touch money. They never even like to touch it. They would get the disciples or somebody else say, check that and see what it have and what they do have. Why? Because it has a certain influence on the body, the spiritual self. Right? So these two characteristics of the people of Jahannam, rebelliousness, rejection of the deen and the law of Allah Azawajal, and the second quality and characteristic is that they prefer the life of this world. Forget about the hereafter. Right now, I have to live now, you know. I have to live now. I can't eat salt and rice. I can't eat rice and dal. I have to provide chicken and thing for my family. I want good thing for them to eat. I want to provide good for them. So whether I have to beg or steal, whether I am not entitled to zakat, but I want to go and collect zakat and feed them with that money. Athar al-hayat ad-dunya. We prefer the comfort and the luxuries and giving pleasure and preference to this world to the hereafter. That is what it means. That is what it means when we say we give in preference. For those people with those two characteristics, Allah Azza wa Jal says, فَإِنَّ الْجَحِيمَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى. Jahannam is going to be their abode. Jahannam is going to be their abode. And then Allah Azza wa Jal continues in the next ayat of Quran and He says, وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ. As for that person who shudders, he trembles, he fears just the thought passing through his mind that I one day have to stand up before my Lord. What answer am I going to give my Lord? He shudders at the fact, he trembles, he fears that by one day I have to stand up and give an account for every minute of my life that I spent on this world. The hadith of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam is very clear. Very, very clear. لا يزول قدم عبد يوم القيامة حتى يسأل عن خمس. That the 2 feet of man would not be able to move, not a footstep on the day of judgment, until he answers 5 questions. Until he answers 5 questions. An umrihi fima afnah, an shababihi fima ablah, an malihi mimma iktasabahu wa fima anfaqa, wa an ilmihi fima alima bih, fima amila bih. 5, aw kama qala alayhi salatu wassalam. 5 questions. How you spend your life. A general account. Tell me now what you used to do. Generally in your whole life, where you was. Plumber, gardener, this kind of thing. Whatever. General. Then a special question is asked, and pay attention to this, especially our young brothers and sisters. Especially our young ones. What did you do with your youth? Because during youthful years, the energy, the adrenaline, the energy that a person has, the force, the vigor with which we do things when we are young, right? That is incomparable with when we get older. Right? What we could have done when we were young, we can't do it now. We have to slow down. Right? So what did you do about your youth? How did you spend? How did you waste that time? In what did you waste it? The energies of your youth, how did you use it? And then the 3rd question and the 4th question, we would put it together. What was your sources of income and what was your sources of expenditure? It is not only the income, you know, but where you spend it as well. You know, nowadays we go off with the impression that, okay, but that's my one, you know. That's my money, so I could do what I want with it. I could spend it how I want, wherever I want. That is my money. But where did you procure your wealth from? Where did you get it from? Right? Did it come to you via inheritance? Did you do some haram act? Did you perform some haram act? Did you overcharge somebody for something? Did you bust somebody's head? You understand? In order to get that money, did you dig out somebody's eye in order to get that money, as you would say? How did you come about that? Did you sacrifice the deen in order to attain that wealth? That when it was time for Salah, you know, I can't pray now, boy. I can't pray now. You understand? Thing real. I had to work now, boy. Can't read them. And you know, I get caught in the traffic. 2 hours coming home, so I miss the Asr. I go pray it when I reach home. Now Allah knows best. Right? Allah knows best. I'll pray it when I reach home. I really can't pray. Right? Because I get caught up in the traffic. Right? So you miss the Asr. Every day you have to cover the Asr. Right? Where did you get that wealth from? And on what did you spend it? Did you realize that you spend all of it behind yourself and your family? You spend it in things that were haram. You invested it in things which brought back a return that you were living on that was not halal. I know plenty of people who have money in the bank. They take it and they put it in the bank and they say, well, you know, we're getting back a little interest with us every that. We don't want to interfere with the capital. Right? We don't want to interfere with the capital and we live in all the interest. Till today, there are people, Muslims living like that. And malihi mimmaktasabahu wa fima anfaqa. Foot cannot move on the day of judgment until you give an account of where you get your money from and on what did you spend it. And the 5th question, what did you do with the knowledge that we granted you? Was that knowledge only book knowledge that you could come and tell people and talk and you yourself cannot practice? What did you do with the knowledge? Knowledge here doesn't only mean an alim or a scholar or a mufti or something like that, you know. Every one of us have knowledge. Every one of us know that we have to pray 5 times a day. Every one of us know that we have to fast during Ramadan. That if Allah gives us the means, we have to perform Hajj. What you're waiting for? When you become old to go and perform Hajj? You think Hajj is something that is associated with age? No, it is when you could afford. That is what it is associated with. What you're waiting on, right? What did you do? And then you die and you go before Allah and you didn't perform your Hajj? What did you do with the knowledge that we have given you? You know you had to fast during the month of Ramadan and you're not fasting Bayaan, you know, this and that and the next. What did you do with the knowledge that we have given you? Right, my dear brothers and sisters. So this person, he fears 2 characteristics again. We dealt with 2 characteristics of the people of Jahannam and 2 characteristics of the people of Jannah. As for that person who fears that he has to stand before his Lord on the day of judgment and he has to give an account of everything, every minute of his life, where he spent it. On the day of judgment, the pressure is going to be so tremendous. Everybody gathered, everybody waiting. The sun 1 handspan above the head, 1 arm's length above the head. Drowning in perspiration, some people perspiration up to their ankles, some up to their knees, some up to their waist, some up to... Drowning in perspiration. The frustration is so much that a person goes, so Allah send me to Jahannam. Send me to hell. It's okay, forget the account. I go into hell, I go into hell. Could you imagine the level of frustration that a person would reach, that they would say, send me to hell? Forget about this questioning. And we feel that this questioning is a passing breeze. Yeah, right, okay, every Muslim, you know, every Muslim going to Jannah. Right? Man qala la ilaha illallah dakhala al-Jannah. Everybody who say la ilaha illallah will go into Jannah. This question is nothing, man. We feel it's a passing breeze. You understand? Nothing wrong with that. We go answer them questions and then, man, we know the question that going to ask. We go answer them. That people would reach such levels of frustration that say, Allah, send me to Jahannam. Send me to Jahannam. And it is the first time that the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would intercede and bow down before Allah Azza wa Jalla and praise Allah in such words that were never uttered by him before. And he would say, Allah, start the intercession. That is the first intercession of the many intercessions that it have come in. That is reserved for the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So he fears, he shudders at the fact that he has to stand before his Lord. First quality of the people of Jannah. Second quality, second characteristics, وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى. And he prevents his lower base self, his nafs. He prevents his nafs from passionate things, from evil passions. He holds back. He doesn't commit. Right? Then people with these two qualities, the Quran says, فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى. Jannah is going to be their abode. Jannah is going to be their abode. But listen to the two qualities again. Fearing that you have to stand before your Lord on the day of judgment to give an account for how you treated your family, how you treated your wife, how you treated your parents, where you got your knowledge from, where you got your money from, on what you spent your money, how you spent your time, and what did you waste away your youth. Everything you have to answer for. What did you do with the knowledge that we give you? He fears that on the day of judgment. He trembles when he hears that. And as a result of that, وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى. He prevents his lower base selves from committing any form of sin, from any passionate things, any desires. He prevents himself from that. Those two qualities, فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى. Jannah is going to be his abode. Now he didn't prevent himself from lower base desires and all that kind because he couldn't afford, you know. Sometimes a man can afford and he say, boy, well, I really want to drink some scotch, you know, but I ain't have nothing, boy. You understand? Rain fall heavy last night, you know, I could do with a little thing, a 5-piece. You understand? But I had nothing, boy. So he can't say that I prevented my base self from committing any sin. He couldn't afford. But if he had the money, you'd see him in Marshall Trace. Right? For those who don't know where the blocks are, for those who don't know where the blocks are in Marshall Trace and opposite Ronaton building, for those who don't know, be aware. Right? For those who don't know. Right? So you see a person frequenting the area and I just had to pass here, you know what I mean? I just passed, you know, nothing wrong in passing in Marshall Trace. You know, they have a parlor opposite Ronaton building, nothing wrong in going and buying a juice. They have a parlor. Right? One of the most famous things for the drug block is a vegetable shed. But, you know, we're turning over money, vegetable shed, you know. I'm going to buy a fruit. You understand? So, these two characteristics, preventing ourselves, the base desires, from committing any of these errors, holding back. Because of what reason? Because I fear that on the day of judgment, what account are going to get to my Lord? What are going to tell my Lord on the day of judgment? Why I did this action? What account? And because of that he held back, then Jannah is going to be his abode. Jannah is going to be his abode. The reason for holding back is not because I fear this one and fear that one and I didn't have this and I didn't have that. The reason for holding back and not involving ourselves in lustful desires is because of our fear of standing before our Lord on the day of judgment. Qadi Sanaullah Panipati, in his Tafsir Mazhari, has written that there are 3 levels when we're speaking about holding back the base self from committing lustful things. There are 3 levels that are involved in that. The first level is that person who avoids false belief, his aqidah, his etiquette. He does not contradict anything as far as his belief is concerned, anything that is contrary to Quran and Sunnah. The text of the Quran and the Hadith, the explicit text, the undoubtful text of the Quran and the Hadith, he doesn't contradict anything. That person could be qualified as a Sunni Muslim. Right? Which inshallah we are all Sunni Muslims. I might not know everything. I might not know the name of the angels or how much prophets there were, how much revealed books there were. I don't know all that is part of belief. But I believe that whatever Allah has said is true. I believe whatever His Messenger has brought is true. Whatever books that are revealed by Allah, I believe in all of them. I believe in the angels. I believe in the day of judgment. I believe that in taqdeer and destiny. Right? My belief is these things. I believe in it. Me, I know the name of all the important angels, and me, I know the name of all the books and all of that, you know. But you see, me, I believe in what Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. That is my belief as a Muslim. What I practice, I mightn't practice. That person is qualified to be called a Sunni Muslim, not a Ahmadi, not a Qadiani, You understand? And all the Qadari and Ithna Sharia and all the different sects that we have. Not them. Talking about a Sunni Muslim. That is the first level. Why? Because his Aqidah and his belief is correct. You see me, I believe in what Allah and His Messenger ﷺ said. I don't know it, but I believe that is correct. In the depths of my heart, I believe that. I have met drunkards who would stand up and defend Islam. You dare not say a word against Islam. They would stand up and defend Islam. Says I'm Muslim, but you don't talk about Muslim like that. Right? Why? Because Iman has sunk down to the depths of their heart. They mightn't be practicing, but you dare not say a word against Islam in front of them. All the evidence might be leaning against them, but don't talk Islam bad, boy. That is the first level of wanahan nafsa anil hawa, preventing our base selves, our belief and our etika. The second level is where the medium part, the middle part. A person thinks about committing a sin and he remembers, but I have to give an account for this. I have to account for this on the day of judgment, so he holds back. He stops. He prevents himself from doing anything. And also included in this level is refraining from doubtful things. Refraining from that which is doubtful. Nu'man ibn Bashir radiallahu ta'ala narrates that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said that he who abstains from doubtful things, he has protected his honor and his deen. He who has abstained from doubtful things has protected his honor and his deen. And he who has engaged in doubtful things would eventually be involved in that which is haram. It leads on to one another. The maharim of Allah, that is the borders. Do not even go close to it. Do not even go close to it. What are these doubtful things, my dear brothers and sisters? Doubtful things? An example, a person sick, and he's not too sure whether I should make tayammum or make wuzu by. A sick. He's not sure. He's a bit doubtful now whether to make tayammum, you understand? Or whether to make wuzu. If I make wuzu and I could get more sick. So he's a bit doubtful. Right? So he refrains from the doubt. Both of them are equal, eh? Both of them are equal as far as his thinking is going. But I almost sure it permissible for me to make tayammum, you know. But I feel I could make wuzu, you know. You understand? And my sickness won't increase. Right? In that situation, he opts to go with what is the original law. That is, use water and make wuzu. Right? So he refrained from that which is a bit doubtful about him, whether I could use it. The next example, a person, foot damage, back damage, some kind of thing, sit down on a chair and he praying. He knows that if I stand and pray, experiencing a certain amount of pain, and he's in a bit of doubt now whether I should stand and pray, whether I should sit on the chair and pray. Right? And he's in that doubt. But he could do both of them, but with a certain tremendous amount of pain, he would stand and pray. Right? Whether I should stand or whether I should sit, he's in a bit of doubt. He makes the extra effort. You see that sitting down on the chair thing? Let me pray at least my third salah. Let me stand up and pray my third salah. Let me try. Right? He refrains from doubtful things. He has protected his honor and he has protected his deen. And the third category, my dear brothers, of wanahan nafsa anil hawa, preventing the base desires from that which is the lustful things in life. This third level is because of the abundance of remembrance of Allah that a person is involved in, because of the constant mujahada and spiritual struggle that he is involved in, because of the riyada and the ascetic discipline that he is involved in, he doesn't even feel that desire. He doesn't even feel that desire to do something wrong. This is what is known as the stage of wilaya, when a person becomes a wali and a friend of Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah Azza wa Jal, the Sufis and the spiritual leaders, they have described this as fani fillah or baqi billah. Right? You reach that stage of walaya, that you become a friend of Allah, that you don't have that urge to do anything wrong. Right? At that level, Allah Azza wa Jal speaks about those people in the Quran. He says, Inna ibadi laysa laka alayhim sultan. That you have no power over them. My servants, referring to shaitan, you have no power over them. Laysa laka alayhim sultan. You have no control over them. They are in control of what they are doing. The hadith of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells us about these people as well. La yu'minu ahadukum hatta yakunu hawahu taba'an lima ji'tu bih. That none of you could be a true believer unless his base desires follow that which I have brought. The Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, our base desires will be following that which the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we have trained and disciplined and managed that nafs so much that it ain't even thinking about doing anything evil. The thought of doing anything evil is not there. That is the third level of wanahan nafsa anil hawa. That belongs to the stage of walayat and the wali. Baqi billah, fana fillah, and baqi billah. That stage, my dear brothers and sisters. My dear brothers and sisters, we are a long way. But the longest journey begins with the first step. We might be very far, but the first step that we take, once we are making the effort to go towards Allah Azza wa Jal, to reach Allah Azza wa Jal, my dear brothers and sisters, then we are almost there. We are almost there. We are close. But we need to start making some effort. So this was the second lesson that was learned by Hatim Assam, when he told his sheikh that I have learned 8 lessons in 33 years of associating with you. This second lesson was what? That I have seen that Allah said in the Quran, وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ. As for that person who fears the accounting that he has to give before his Lord on the Day of Judgment, وَنَهَنْ نَفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ. And he prevented his base lower nafs from any passionate desires and that kind of thing. فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَىٰ. And I know that what my Lord has said is true, and the Quran is true. So therefore I want to make Jannah my abode. So I prevented. I fear that standing before my Lord, and I prevent my lower nafs from committing any lustful desires. May Allah Azza wa Jal guide us. And may He give us that ability, that training, that discipline, that we could also discipline our lower selves and bring it to that level whereby we could say no to the temptations of shaitan, no to the lower base nafs, that we could turn a blind eye to it until we reach such a stage whereby we would be able, indeed, we could reach the third category where these things don't even bother us. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.